Some recent statements by Chris HOJ of Card Ladder have raised some eyebrows. Let's dig into some of this. Stick around. Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. How are we doing? This is going to be a double header today. This video is going to be the second one of the day. And then we've got a live stream on Brad the Comeback Card Investors channel that's going to be on at 9 p.m. Eastern. We got Ken from My Slabs coming on. So it's a busy one. It is a busy day, guys. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. If you like what you hear, the likes, notification bell if you want. It'll just notify you when a new video comes out, which is pretty often if you tune into this channel. We will keep the content coming. As a completely amateur content creator with zero media background before I created my YouTube channel 2 years ago, 2 years and a month ago, I felt like it would be important to respond to some recent statements by Chris from Card Ladder just regarding content in general. I don't typically do these, but I just figured, you know what? This one was worthwhile because I think that I am one of many, frankly, that are on YouTube that aren't necessarily media experts, and so I wanted to dive into this a little bit. Everybody makes content for different reasons, whether it's YouTube or a blog or Instagram stories or whatever you do, everybody does it for different reasons. When I hear critics of sometimes YouTube content, I hear this all the time where it's like, oh, they're doing it for, 15 minutes of fame and or the money, which on the money side, if you make content on YouTube, at least in the sports card realm, outside of maybe one or two channels, sports card YouTube riches are not exactly a thing. I guess it's all relative on what you consider riches, but if it's for the money, the amount of time and effort and the length of time that you have to put out content making zero before you actually even get to making anything is a long period of time for most. I guess there's some exceptions to this rule, and yes, you can get sponsorship deals and some other things, etc. But for the most part, the whole millionaire YouTube money thing, especially in the card space, which is very niche, is not really much of a thing. As far as the 15 minutes of fame goes, I guess it probably depends on the personality. Maybe there's probably some people that do it for, YouTube fame or whatever it is, but there are other reasons. I'll throw one out. For me, part of the reason, legacy. You're probably wondering, what does that mean? What does legacy mean? I have 4 kids. I have 2 boys. I have 2 girls. My youngest son has autism. And the one thing that they all have in common is they think that it's damn cool that I'm on YouTube. And that's whether I have 1 subscriber or 1 million subscribers. Just the fact that I show up and I do YouTube makes them proud of their dad. The fact that my wife and I can walk around card show or go to the National and people know who I am is kind of a fun thing. And granted, yes, of course, for my ego, that certainly helps. But if you know me, which most people out there don't know me, I don't really care about that. I'm not somebody that needs to be the center of attention. I'm not the life of the party. That's not my personality. Actually, I'm pretty introverted. I just get in front of a camera every day and talk for 7 to 10 minutes and put it out onto the internet. And so I give credit to people that put themselves out there because it's not always comfortable. There's a lot of people that would never do this because they don't want to put themselves out there into the world because they're going to get critiqued. That is part of putting yourself out onto the internet. And that is an excellent teaching lesson. It's an excellent point for my kids to see that I can get trolled like crazy on the internet and it's okay. I'm okay. It's okay that perfect strangers can get on and say that I look stupid or, whatever, my teeth are yellow. Or I had a guy make a video that in 6 months I was going to turn into a zombie. No joke. That's an actual real thing. And, my oldest son is like, Dad, you're talking about cards. How on earth can there be any sort of drama in sports cards? It's just a hobby. Yeah, well, there can be drama in anything. Anything can be dramatic. And it's a good teaching lesson for them to understand that what other people think is really irrelevant. Now, of course, you want to take constructive criticism. There's things that you can take from actual constructive criticism from people that are coming to you trying to help you improve. But in reality, you just have a lot of people that are complaining or they're not happy with things in their own life and they're projecting that out into the world and onto their keyboard, onto the internet, whatever. And that's fine. Totally fine. That's just just the way the world turns. But it's a great teaching tool to show them that it's okay for that to happen. It's some different terms that I heard Chris use were referendum, and we need to pivot away. We need to move away from this type of content, whatever that content is, cornball, clown content, as he described it. Freedom of speech is a huge thing in North America. The First Amendment, it allows everybody to have a chance. It allowed for me 2 years ago, and actually today, to put an iPhone on a $20 tripod in my man cave, make this video, and be able to compete with highly produced studios that spend tons of money making their content. And that's what's so great about YouTube, and that's what's so great about social media. Of course, are there pros, cons, or the things that could be improved on? Yeah, of course. But the idea is that anybody has a chance. Everybody's got a platform, and if you're able to build a following, then great. And if you're not, you're not. And some people don't want to have 1 million subscribers. They're good with having 100 subscribers. They're good with having 1,000. They're good with having 50,000 or whatever that is. But the point is that the market decides. The market decides if you have an audience or not. You get out, you do the work, you put out the information, you present it a certain way, you throw in your entertainment value, you throw out your scholarship, your facts, whatever you want to throw out there, and it either happens or it doesn't. But the point is that everybody has a shot at it. If we start getting into, a governing body that is choosing which content is good or bad, or watch this or don't watch this, then it starts to get a little hairy, and it takes away the ability for anybody to be able to start something up and be able to build some sort of an audience. This also includes myself. I mean, there's certain content. I watch a ton of hobby content, and I watch a lot of the card ladder content. I really like what they put out. I especially like the weekly show, the Sports Cards Culture, that they put out. They're entertaining. They provide some good stories. And just like with them, I like watching a bunch of other channels. There's so much good hobby content. And frankly, there's a lot more hobby content now than there was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. There's a lot of different avenues to take. People say it's saturated, but there's a lot of different types of content. You might like me standing here. People like me that are just talking. There's a lot of vlog stuff. There's a lot of buy, sell, trade, type channels. There's a lot of charts and graphs type stuff. There's all sorts of different things. News stuff. I do a lot of that. And it's going to get better, I think. I'm optimistic that content is going to continue to improve. I think there's still a lot of people that are getting into the hobby, and I think that it's overall going to get better as it has gotten better. Next, I want to address a statement that Chris had made that cornball, YouTube clowns, whatever. And again, he didn't name names, so he might not think that I'm a clown or a goofball. Probably does, maybe. But because frankly, I do act like a goofball. I have fun with my channel. But anyway, doesn't really matter. The point is that he wants more serious scholarly content. One thing that he makes reference to in both his live streams on Friday night and then also on Dakota Sports Card Anonymous's live last night is he mentions Michael Saylor. And Michael Saylor, big time investor, he, in 2018 or 19, a couple years ago, he decided to put $500 million into Bitcoin. And he was looking at different avenues, different kind of alternative investments, and he ended up going with Bitcoin. And so Chris's point was man, what if he had put that into cards? And he mentions football cards. I would have loved for him to put it in football cards, although I guess maybe not, because I buy a lot of football cards, so prices would have been way up. Anyway, the point is Chris makes a statement of look, if we had, I think what he was getting at is if we had better content, more scholarly content, the way that there is on the crypto side, although I would argue there's a lot of junk on the crypto side, that, that he would have maybe put that 500 million into sports cards. My first question is, how do we know that? And he said that the clowns, the YouTube clowns, are actually repelling new investment, essentially meaning that the YouTube clowns are stopping new money, new big money like the Saylor money from coming into the market. My first question would be where's the data to support that? Because there's a lot of data that shows that huge money has come into sports cards over the last 2 years. Michael Saylor, he's one guy. Gary Vee and all of his constituents put a ton of money into sports cards, and they have opened up businesses in this market. Patrick Bet-David, Dakota last night on Sports Card Anonymous made reference to Patrick Bet-David bought the 2 Wayne Gretzky rookie cards and resold them. The point is there is a lot of big money out there. And the other part I would say too is one of the largest collectibles buyers over the last few years. This guy has bought tens of millions of dollars in collectibles. I've texted with the guy. We have some rapport, a really, really good guy. If I named him, he's been in the news, so he's someone that people know. He's not an influencer. He's kind of more of behind the scenes, but a monster collectibles buyer, maybe the biggest, frankly, single buyer. And he likes my content. He told me that he likes my stuff. Now, maybe he's lying to me, but it hasn't repelled him from coming in and spending tens of millions of dollars in cards and collectibles. I think that we don't have, where's the data to support that current content is repelling? You know, maybe if someone in your circle, I don't know if there's a dozen people in this, I don't know, you met someone who said, hey, the content sucks, so I decided to do this instead. There just isn't enough there. There's not enough hard evidence to really say that. It's such a broad statement. It's such a massively broad statement. But the only evidence that we do have is that a ton of money has poured into cards from high net worth folks. So that statement, I don't really understand it. It's a purely speculative statement. The other side of that is, how do we know that Michael Saylor didn't put $500 million into Bitcoin, but then also put $10 million into cards? Have we talked to him? Has he said, I've put zero money into sports cards, collectibles? Maybe he did. Maybe there's an interview where someone said, hey, have you bought any sports cards? And he was like, nah. But what if he has? There's tons of these private sales. There's tons of deals that go on face-to-face internationally. This is global. There's stuff that's happening all the time. We don't have any idea. We have, these high sales that we, report on, these record-breaking sales. They're probably not even the largest sales. It's just there's a ton of private buyers and sellers that don't necessarily want their name out in the news because they bought or sold a $5, $10, $20 million card. Maybe they don't want it out there. So the whole idea, again, that these people, like even just using him as one example, Saylor might have a sweet card collection and we don't know about it because he's not sharing it. Another statement that was made is that cards are stagnant as well, in part because of card content. Card content's playing into card prices being stagnant. How do we know that, again, for certain? And then also, what about just general market dynamics? Look at how fast the market rose. Obviously, it was going to correct. What about macroeconomic factors like inflation? How many people are just sitting on their hands because they're thinking, are we about to enter into a recession? I think a lot of people, frankly, I am one of those people on a very small scale that's thinking about these things. Now, does it mean that I'm completely pulling out of cards? No, I'm still buying cards. I bought a card yesterday. But the point is that these are big issue things that face the world that we have to take into account. If a loaf of bread is $8 and, I've got a family to feed, then I might kind of simmer down on cards for a little bit and wait and see what happens. The point is we're talking about a zillion different factors here, and to kind of narrow it down to card content is, a main driving factor or the main driving factor. Where is the data that supports that? Where's the data that supports it? Because if there's data to support it that shows directly that it's card content, then I'd love to see it, but I just don't, there's just so many other things. So again, I think what's great about discourse like this, and I agree with probably 82, 83% of Chris's takes. I like a lot of what he brings. And frankly, I think that he has a lot of good things to offer the hobby. The card ladder tool is great. I use it every day. So this isn't a knock on the actual card ladder tool or personally against those guys. This is just one particular take that I thought was an ice cold one. But if we all agreed on anything, the world would be a really boring place. One way this could have been positioned a little bit differently is, hey, there's a lot of the entertainment goofball clowns like Dustin out there. But you know what I'd like to see is just more of the serious type stuff. I'd like to see more of that. That would be a whole different conversation. It would be a whole different conversation. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining me. Let me know your thoughts on the content. Let me know your thoughts below. And again, this isn't like a bashing session. This is more of just debate, healthy debate. Have an amazing rest of your day. Stay healthy. Stay awesome. I will talk to you again later.